Religion is being abused and it needs to stop. That's the sentiment of religious leaders who have met to discuss this. They're speaking ahead of a summit aimed at dealing with the exploitation of people in the name of God. Well, Yanke Tolmei has more.
South Africa has had its fair share of self-styled prophets using outrageous methods to heal their congregants.
Is it nice?
From the so-called doom pastor to another who encouraged his worshippers to eat grass. And there are those facing allegations of human trafficking and sexual abuse. Timothy Omatoso is accused of using his church to prey on young girls. Overall, there's concern about what's happening in the name of religion.
We have to draw the line. There has to be a point at which you say, thus far and no further. And that's what these conversations are about. Where do we draw the line? How do we draw the line? What happens when you skip the line? We apologize. We can never apologize enough for how long it has taken for us to get to where we are in these conversations.
Religious leaders admit drawing this line will not be an easy task. The CRL Rights Commission and Parliament will support the religious groups to work on a plan to stop what they call abuse.
There are always people out there who are crying freedom of religion and that this will upset freedom of religion. We are still convinced that as a nation we have a right to know who is doing what where.
The different groups say it's not been an easy process finding each other, but when they meet next year, they'll need to work together to end the exploitation of religion. Yanke Tolmei, Johannesburg.
To discuss more on the plans to fight challenges in religion, I'm joined by Geert Khosa from the National Religious Leaders Council. Good evening, sir. Thanks very much for your time. Where, as the National Religious Leaders Council, do you stand on this? What do you think should actually happen? That which presumably you are taking to the summit early next year.
Thank you so much, Vuyo, for having me.
As you have seen in the clip that you have just played, this is not only just National Religious Leaders Council, it includes the South African Council of Churches, it includes the Zion Christian Church, it includes the Shembe Church, it includes a whole lot of churches that have come together and unify, and we will obviously want to have more people to join. Okay, so to answer your question, is that today's message was the fact that there is a way forward. There's a way forward, and that way forward is this summit that we have called. Now, the summit, we want to be very inclusive. Everybody who's out there, who have heard the leaders speaking today, we want them to join at the summit. And how we're going to get there, there's a task team that is headed by Bishop Musa Sono from Grace Bible Church that will organize the logistics, your invitation, the communication, the marketing of the event so that everybody is included. What we take into the summit is this. We want to reflect, first and foremost, what has happened in our space. How did we get here and how we're going to get out? And one of the things that we're hoping to, when we get to the summit that is headed by the task team, is that, as you have heard the convener, Pastor Rema Koli, mention 6 things that we want to, as points, that we have to have a document anchored by those.
Which we did talk about earlier when we were having another conversation on the very same issue. But here's what I want to explore with you. Aren't you, and excuse the pun, going to preach to the converted here? Because the people who, make people eat snake and grass and drink petrol will in all likelihood be absent from that summit.
You could be right, but the converted must come with the way forward. The converted
must come with the values. The converted must come with the rules. the converted must come with a plan of action. How do we stop this? So it's good when the converted come together so that they can make a way forward. So yes, it's true, but the converted are ready to ensure this gets stopped.
Now, how do you then also get around the perception they seem to have that the reason many of you who have who feel that something needs to be done and done now are doing what you're doing is because, and there some of them have said this publicly, you envy them because they are more successful than you, because they are taking away your own membership through these miracles that they claim to perform. People are keen to follow them than follow you, and so you are driven more by jealousy, really, than the reality of, yeah.
If you look, that clip that you just play, those are credible leaders. They've been around 40, 50, 60 years. What can they be envied for? They've been in the journey. All they are worried about is that our society is being corrupted by the people that's supposed to be helping them. Secondly, everyone is painted with the same brush. So whether we do it or not, we are there. So when they say a church, they don't care whether Pastor Macaulay or Bishop have not done it, it's a church. So we're not driven by envy because there's nothing to be envied. Vuyo, I have never heard, at least in my life, a dog meat being a human consumption. I've never heard of that. And certainly, I won't be envy for a dog meat to be eaten by anyone. The sexual abuse that is going on in churches, who can be envy for that? It's actually craziness or madness to even think that we envy. These credible leaders are saying, we're going to stop this, and it's going to stop right now.
Now, what mechanism do you think will be most suitable? And I'm saying this because even those among you who actually are opposed to what the snake and doom pastors, are doing, there has been a great deal of pushback, especially right at the beginning when the CRL started grappling with this issue and found itself in a very awkward position where both those pastors, if I may call them that, were, slamming it, but also, also those people you are with now were just as opposed to the CRL saying there needs to be a mechanism that will ensure that everybody submits to some kind of authority and there are rules to play this game with.
Yeah, I think let me admit that when we started with the CRL Commission, there were difficulties in the approach. There were real difficulties, but we have gone a journey with them.
And have those been sorted?
Yes, exactly. That's why we could be on the same platform, talking the same language, talking the same thing, talking the same vision. So they've all been sorted, and they're behind us. The most important thing with the CRL Commission, which must be commended, is that for them to say, you know what, the religious leaders or sector themselves must come up with a way forward. We will be there supporting, encouraging. So that is the first step. And then secondly, out of whether, I don't know who you were discussing with, but these 6 points that was mentioned is that we want to develop a document, document of discussion that will be submitted at the summit and hopefully adopted. And that document, one of the things we're saying, we want to have a partnership with SARS, Police, Home Affairs. And then Parliament must guide us as the legislative. What do we do? Because obviously you can have a document, but the document must be alive. The document must speak. The document must bite. So we want to do this properly. And that's why that task team will ensure that we have the expert, theologian, lawmakers, lawyers, people who know that can help us to draft that document. So it won't be just a surface. It will be a credible document, and it will be sent to the religious leaders. And we'll spend some time so that when we come out of that summit, we are all in agreement, speaking with the same language. But we're not naive. There will be those who will oppose us, but they will never be able to stop us.
Okay, that's what we're going to leave it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Geert Khoza from the National Religious Leaders Council.